Okay, so comparison is the thief of joy. That is it in a nutshell. Comparison is the thing that will take joy away from you. It's just a total killer. So we're going to break this down, we're going to have a look at it, and we're going to go through how we can kind of sort of switch it around. But it's short, succinct teaching, so just stay focused, stay attention, and hopefully it'll hit you somewhere where you think, okay, next time you catch yourself comparing yourself to someone else, you will think, actually, no, like, let's stop that right there. Okay, so first thing to kind of think about is that we all have hard seasons. So we all go through tough periods in our life, and that can be anything. So a hard season for us can look like anything. There is no definition of a hard season. There is no, it doesn't have to be at some point totally horrific. It can be whatever it is. A hard season can feel like a hard season because it's for us, all right? So when we go through hard seasons, we have to make sure that we are not comparing our hard season to someone else. But what we also tend to do is, kind of on a different level, is we tend to look at other people's Instagram feeds or social feeds, and we see this perfect square of joy and happiness and love and life and friends and family, and like, whoa, their life is so great. And we can do that when we're feeling in a good place or when we're going through a hard season. But the point is, when we look at that, we always forget that that is their best. That is what they are putting out into the world, right? So they are not showing you the hard season that they are going through like you are, where you're bawling your eyes out, you're covered in spots, you're stressed, it's really hard, you are really struggling with something, and they are showing the world their best version. So that is the first thing to know, guys. And you think about when you post on social, you share the best bits of your life. So why do you forget? Why do we forget? And when we look at someone else's feed, do we think that that must be their life all of the time, and therefore ours is terrible or boring or miserable or dull or whatever in comparison? And that's just totally untrue, because we are comparing our now to their best. When you put stuff out on social, it's not your now, it's your best. It's the best bit of the lunch date. It's the best bit of the picnic in the park. It's the best bit of the night out. It's the best bit of the holiday to Ibiza. That's kind of like what you do. We are all, we're constantly showing off of our best. But the point is, when you look at that, and if you are looking at that and you are not in your best, then you compare your best, their best of what they're putting out, to your now, to your current, to your hard, or to your normal, or to your mundane. But everyone's life is like that. And when we compare ourselves to that, it eliminates the ability to feel joy. Because what we are doing is we are putting ourselves down. So we are comparing ourselves, and we are making ourselves feel terrible. We are, reinforcing that we feel like a failure, or we can't do it, or it's too hard, or whatever it might be. But the point is, we are eliminating that ability to feel joy because of that comparison. Now, I want to raise a point here about people's best and what people put out into the world. And something that I have learned is that you compare yourself to your perspective of that person. So your impression of me, your knowledge of me, is, if this is the only medium through which you know me, is your perspective of me. Because you are formulating this opinion of me based on this, based on these interactions, based on how I show up every week, how I'm positive, how I'm noisy, how I've got an opinion, like whatever that might look like for you. That's your perspective of me. That is not necessarily the reality. So not only do we compare ourselves to other people's best, but we compare ourselves to our perspective of other people. And our perspective of other people is not the truth. So your perspective of me, that I'm always bubbly, like I'm always putting it out there, like I'm always positive, or that, you know, like I always seem to have an answer, is not true. Okay, that's your perspective of me, because that's the medium that you are consuming my kind of outward. All right, so we need to just be aware of those two things. Okay, that when we compare ourselves, we are always looking at other people's best, and we can't compare someone's best to our now, to where we are right now, particularly if we are going through a hard season. And the second thing is that we cannot compare ourselves to our perspective of someone else. Okay? So those are the first two learnings.